Hello, today I wanted to talk about spiky profiles, and you may have heard about the spiky profile among autistics, and a quick glance on the Google homepage will tell you that a spiky profile is a phenomenon whereby the disparity between strengths and weaknesses is more pronounced than for the average person. It's characteristic among neurominorities, those who have neurodevelopmental conditions including autism and ADHD. But the only, I'm not going to talk much more about that because the only spiky profile I want to talk about today is this spiky profile, this punk-haired character in my book, Fall of the Flamingo Circus, which shot me to my 15 minutes of fame in 1988 and 1990, and I've brought it back out in paperback after all this time. And yeah, I did actually base that picture on me. I used to have hair like that a bit, and but yeah, she's a punk, and it's my most successful book, and she was called Lauren for the book, but she'd perhaps talk, if I need to bring in anything to do with autism or ADHD, I would say she probably now would have some ADHD characteristics, but she, as I say, she becomes a punk. She embraces it in the 70s, and quite rebellious, and I suppose I knew this character inside out, and I mentioned in my maladaptive daydreaming blog about my sister and I inventing characters, and she, in the book, she is called Lauren, and I based it on a character who I called Donna, who I invented in 1977, and I was yeah, I write about this in the introduction, which isn't in the original book, but yeah, she writes this diary. It's a hard-hitting book, and she begins it in the late 60s and it ends in the early 80s when she's 22. So it's a development of her life, really, and things going on in her life. As I say, it is hard-hitting, and yeah, but so yeah, in the introduction I mentioned that she was so real to me that I changed her name even. I felt, it's like writing about a real person. And in one of the reviews that I got, they mentioned, I think it was in the Times review, they said that it wasn't as if I inhabited the character, it was as if I was the character, and I felt, and yes, I was. I was very complimented by that. But I'll just show you my books that were the first. So it was first picked up by Malvern Publishing Company, a small press based in Malvern, who I went to see, and so that was the original hardback UK cover, and they sold paperback rights, and that was in 1988. They sold paperback rights to Alison and Busby, who brought this out in 1990, and this is the one that most people will have seen, and it sold about 2,000 copies, which wasn't bad for 1990, but then it was remaindered, which is what they used to do in those days after it'd been out for a while. But I did get my it was with the Malvern one that got the review in the Times, but this one I think was reviewed in a music magazine called The Face, which some of you may remember, in 1990. And then American hardback version. This is the American hardback version. So yeah, sorry, the sun's shining in a funny place. So that was the, and then it's been out of print, and I brought it back out as an ebook in 2011-ish. And the thing is, I typed all the others out. Got a word process back in the late 1990s, and then I was able to move it onto the computers, or my books which I'd written at that time, onto computer. but I'd left this one to last because it was out in print, and I thought in order to bring it to digitalize it, I couldn't be asked to type it all out again. So I found this thing called OCR, which is optimal character recognition, and it was great. That recognised a lot of the characters, and so I could have it on disc, and I could then just check for any mistakes. And so, yeah. I suppose one of the things I will mention about to do with autism, and well, it's to do with anxiety, is that I was really obviously thrilled. It's really thrilling to get your book published, especially the first one. It wasn't the first book I'd written, the first one I got published, but I was terrified. Having to do those interviews and going to the, doing interviews with the press and going around bookshops with the publisher, and I had to take a couple of tranquilizers, to sort of cope with it. And I probably sabotaged any follow-up, although, maybe my follow-up wouldn't have got anywhere anyway, but I remember thinking, I can't cope with this. And so instead of trying to capitalise on it, I just carried on doing my own thing, which is probably why I went into the wilderness for ages. Or maybe I thought this was just like a one-hit wonder, but I have had things published since then, but not as a bigger deal as this. So anyway, this is back out in print, and it's also available as an ebook, and it is you can buy it on Amazon with a new introduction if anybody's interested. And I designed the cover, and I quite like this one. So it's had a few others, but this is the one I've chosen for the paperback. So thanks all today. Bye for now.